Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody stayed nice and warm in today's snowstorm. Today, I am here to do a progress video for my Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR. I went to the library yesterday to return books and get some new books out, and this is the haul I have. First of all, I want to talk about two books that I finished. The first book is The Flatshare by Beth O'Leary. This book is by the same author that is the person who wrote The Wake Up Call, and this is set in London, and the two main characters are Tiffy and Leon. Tiffy is an office worker, and Leon is a nurse at a local hospital. So this story is about two roommates who fall in love through the letters that they write each other. It's kind of like divine rivals, although there's no war with Greek gods going on in the background. I really like the development of the relationship between Tiffy and Leon. Leon is also dealing with his brother being in jail, I think. I read this book last year, so this is my second time reading it, and the 3.75 star rating stays the same. The next book I read that I just finished is The Sisterhood, the second summer of the Sisterhood. This is book 2. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is book 2 in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series. The first book and the second book are the two books in the series that were combined to make the movie that came out in 2005 that stars Alexis Bledel, America Ferrera, Amber Tamblyn, and Blake Lively. So I really love how the characters and their adventures get further described in this second book, and this is a 4-book series, so I'm planning to finish the rest of it, and I hope to fully review it in a later video. The next book that I got out is Before We Were Strangers. This book was recommended to me by Sarah Caroli. She reviewed it in a video from, I believe, last spring. So this is a second chance romance that is focused around two characters named Matt and Grace, and they go to college together at NYU and go their separate ways after graduation and then reconnect after being apart. This book was probably put on the Friends TBR list I found on Instagram because it is set in New York City. And that's probably the only reason that I can see how this book would connect to Friends. At the moment, I am on chapter 7. The next book is called Evvie Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes. This book is about a woman named Evvie Drake who leaves her large, painfully empty house nearly a year after her husband's death in a car crash. Everyone in town, even her best friend Andy, thinks grief keeps her locked inside, and Evvie doesn't correct them. Meanwhile, in New York City, Dean Tenney, former Major League pitcher and Andy's childhood best friend, is wrestling with his miserable athletes living out their worst nightmares called the yips. He can't throw straight anymore, and even worse, he can't figure out why. As the media storm heats up in an invitation for Andy to stay in Maine, is the perfect chance to hit the reset button on Dean's future. When he moves into an apartment in the back of Evvie's house, they make a deal. Dean won't ask about Evvie's late husband, and Evvie won't ask Dean about Dean's baseball career. Rules, though, have a funny way of being broken, and what starts as unexpected friendship soon turns into something more. To move forward, Evvie and Dean will have to reckon with their past, their friendships they're damaged, the secrets they've kept. But in life, in baseball, there's always a chance until the last out. A joyful and hilarious debut, Evvie Drake Starts Over will have you cheering with the two most unlikely comebacks of the year and will leave you wanting more from Linda Holmes. I am currently on page 72, chapter 11, and I think this book was on the Gilmore Girls reading list I found because the main character's name is Dean, aka Dean Forrester, who is Rory's first boyfriend. And I also love this book because it's set in Maine, and I'm excited to read on to see how the relationship between Dean and Evvie will develop. The next book that I'm reading for the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR is How Stella Got Her Groove Back by Terry McMillan. This book was published in 1996 during season 3 of Friends, and on the reading list I found for books that describe friend characters, this character was paired up with Rachel, who is played by Jennifer Aniston, and so this book is about a woman in her 40s who reinvents herself after getting divorced from her husband. She's a single mother with a 10-year-old son, she's recently divorced. She's a single mom who, shares custody of her son with her ex-husband, and while she goes on vacation to Jamaica, and so as we all know, the main plot of Friends is Rachel reinventing herself and starting her life over again after she runs out on her wedding to Barry. And basically, that's the reason why I think this book is matched up with Rachel's character in the Friends readings recommendation list. But, I also picture this, in an alternate reality, alternative timeline. If, say, for example, Rachel ends up getting married to Ross and then divorcing him and having to share custody of Emma and whatever other kid they may have together after Emma, and her having to reinvent herself in her late 30s, early 40s, like Stella in this book. I'm enjoying this book so far. I just got it out of the library yesterday, and I'm already on page 128. And finally, the next book is the final book that I have added to my From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR recently is The Charm Offensive by Allison Cochran. I have read 2 other books by this author. The most recent one was called what was it called? Now I don't remember. From Here to There or something. So I can't remember the title, which is really bothering me. So the book that I just finished reading was about 2 friends who go on a road trip with their teacher who is dying of cancer, and they end up building a romance with each other. All of Allison Cochran books are LGBTQ romances. The other book that I read by her was back in December. It was called Kiss Her Once for Me. This book is an LGBTQ romance that is basically set around a LGBTQ plus version of the reality TV show The Bachelor. In this show, this show focuses around two main characters, Dev, who is the production assistant on a reality show, and Charlie, who is the contestant on a reality show. And Charlie realizes that he's gay, and he ends up falling in love with Dev. And I am on page 148 at the moment. So I really love Allison Cochran's writing and how she develops her characters and her romances. And the best thing about this book is, while I may not be a huge fan of The Bachelor, I love how this show is settled around the atmosphere of a reality TV show that's similar. Because my opinion of that show has always been that the relationships are pretty fake and staged. And then, if you have been following The Bachelor for many, many years, you know that the relationships between those couples tend not to last too long. I'm about 45% into this book, so not much has happened in a romance between Dev and Charlie yet, but I would be interested to see if there's a second book in this particular series, to see if the that focuses on their relationship, to see how it develops further once the cameras stop rolling on a TV show. So, this predicted rating for The Charm Offensive, 4.5 stars. The other books I have read by Allison Cochran, Here We Go Again, which was the book I mentioned a couple of minutes ago that I couldn't remember the title for, gets 4.5 stars because the theme of that book is very similar to You with a View by Jessica Joyce, about going on a road trip and the romance building throughout the road trip. And then Kiss Her Once for Me got 3 stars. Anticipated rating for How Stella Got Her Groove Back, 4 stars. Anticipated rating for Evvie Drake Starts Over, 4.5 stars. And anticipated rating for Before We Were Strangers, 4 stars. Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants in the second summer of the Sisterhood both got 4.5 stars. And as I said at the beginning, the Flatshare got 3.5 stars. Thank you for tuning in. The next half of my reading update video will be out tomorrow. This video is being posted at 10 p.m. on Saturday night. Since the weather is bad this week and I'm home for most of the time, that gives me more time to film videos I would normally have. So stay tuned for the next part of this video tomorrow. I don't know what time I will be posting it yet, but please look forward to it. Thank you.